I definitely think that industry news is probably one of the easiest ways for you to come up with content for your social media.
Yeah.
Any platform really, especially in B2B, you have your own unique insight on kind of what you think is going on in your industry. You're able to position yourself as like somebody who is knowledgeable, somebody who, has actually dealt with these situations and is able to talk about them in a way that people are able to understand. Because at the end of the day, like, this is your industry. And if you're not showing people that you're knowledgeable about it, I don't think that they're going to trust you.
Yeah.
So it's a really good way to build trust as well.
Hey everybody, I am Dacia Coffee, and today I am again joined by our head of social media,
Sa Maria Boyd. Hello.
And welcome to the Marketing Blender Show. Now, this is going to be a lot of fun because today we have seven great ideas for B2B social media. Now, these are primarily going to be really anchored towards LinkedIn, but we will be cueing how to repurpose and other places to think about it. So I think this is super, super fun. Now, real quick, before we dive in, what are some of the things that you see people do wrong on social media in B2B? Or where you're just like, come on, guys, there's more to give.
Yeah, I think the number one thing that I see people do wrong are the AI comment responses. Please stop with that.
Stop with that.
It is, if you are only going to type 5 words, you can type your 5 words. And that is fine. I know it makes it a lot easier for some people because a lot of people are really busy. But I think that if you really find the content engaging and you like the people that you're engaging with, for their brand as well, just interact normally, because eventually those things are going to start being picked up, and the algorithms I shouldn't even say the algorithms, because I know that sounds kind of weird, but the platforms themselves will just kind of stop prioritizing their content. So you might end up seeing less of them, or it'll just damage their metrics as well. So, and it'll also damage yours, because you're part of the reason why some of these influencers are so popular is because they do engage with other people.
Yeah.
And so in my opinion, if the platforms start to notice that people are just using AI and not actually naturally interacting, they're going to start like filtering those things out.
Agreed.
So
I think that's such a great point, because that kind of activity kills the whole point of social media. It's literally to connect with other people that are not in your immediate physical environment. So why would you put a robot in your place? I mean, this really is about human connection. So I couldn't agree with you more. I think for me, the other thing I want business-to-business companies to stop doing, or business-to-business individuals to stop being boring.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, you're human. You're interesting. Yeah. You've got something to offer. Offer it. Come from a place of the reason why your friends and your family and your employer loves you. Like, do the real you.
Yeah, and also just kind of with not being boring. I mean, social media is social media for a reason. It's always the kind of more outlandish, outgoing things. Not saying that you have to be completely outlandish,
right. but
just those little things that you can do, and just stop being afraid to experiment, because experimentation is going to be how you find your audience and how they find you, really. And the people who like you will probably be on board with the weird stuff. So
I totally agree with that. And one of the other things I love about what you're saying is experimentation will help people find their authentic voice.
Yes.
And I think that's so important. Like, social media gives us an easy access way to have a voice in the world. So for anybody out there just complaining about how negative social media is or whatever, well, then speak up. Like, do the opposite. Do the thing that you want to contribute to, and experiment. Try different things that you're curious about, and your audience and your numbers will tell you if they worked or not.
Yep. And on the point about negativity, the block button was created for a reason. The mute button was also created. The see less of this is created for a reason. So, if you don't want the negativity, just kind of filter that out yourself. The platforms have done a really good job as of recent trying to give people the option to mute certain words and things like that. So I know that's not necessarily a content idea, but just keep that in mind.
Agreed. We are talking about getting on there and engaging and really creating some traction for your personal success and for your brand. So that's what this is about. So without further ado, okay, what's the first one that you have on the list?
So these are some of my favorite things to see on LinkedIn specifically, some of them on Instagram, but mostly LinkedIn. It's going to be the infographics and the carousels.
I love that.
The small bits of digestible information are just so incredible. And they honestly really help when people are on the go and they just kind of want to know something quickly and they don't want to have to go to a blog and read, in which, most blogs aren't super long anyways, but having it shorter, because obviously with our attention spans getting a little shorter, and again, people just being like on the go a lot, it kind of just helps you visualize things as well for the infographics. And then I think the carousels are they're just fun to look at, to be honest with you, because people put so many weird things on their carousels on LinkedIn. And I don't know if that maybe is only for social media, the social media side of things, because like I've seen like giant ducks and like monster bunnies and things like that in the background, and I know that people are just playing around and trying to figure out ways
Easter egg
to
back there.
like to catch your attention.
Yes.
But I think those are really fun, and I know that people probably want to be a little bit more formal in the way that they create those things as well, just because they're representing their brand. So you can either be super crazy with it, or you can be strictly informational, and just kind of giving us those quick numbers, and I guess I would say quick words. Quick blurbs.
But yeah, the short ones. And I think that exercise is so helpful because show, don't tell. If you can ever use an image or use visuals to force the words into the shorter amount of time, it's so powerful. A couple of years ago, we actually worked with a client and they had a case study that was 7 pages of words long. Ooh. A case study of 7 pages. And we turned it into a single graphical image. And it was fantastic. And it didn't lose any of its substance. It actually maximized the effectiveness and got so much traction. People were saving it. I think that's one of the other things about infographics is people are more likely to literally save or download or bookmark those type of resources versus just a blog or a lot of words.
Yes. And then I think the other thing too is it kind of, on the other hand, gives you another way to create more content from it.
Yeah.
Because like you mentioned, if that case study is 7 pages long, you're already looking for a way to condense it and to make it digestible. So like, then you're going through it and you're picking apart the little pieces, and there may be another visual that comes out of it, another video that comes out of it, a reel that comes out of it, all kinds of things that you can pull just from condensing these things down into infographics. I think that's one of my favorite things to pull content from, because like the words are already there. All I have to do is add a couple of more just to make the caption, and then also just like kind of beautifying that little, if it's a sentence, 2 sentences into like a graphic, and giving it a visual. So those are that's my favorite probably form of content on LinkedIn specifically. And obviously you can post them other places, but
it's great for Pinterest as well. I mean, it sounds super weird, but people collect a lot of intel and a lot of boards on Pinterest, and they're building their own knowledge or research. So, I love that one.
Yeah.
Love it.
Pinterest recipes are very helpful.
Oh my gosh, Pinterest everything. I'm so obsessed. Okay, the other one, and kind of speaking of Pinterest, but I love this on LinkedIn. I love this for everything, is behind the scenes.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Oh my gosh. So yes, it's fine that you and I are doing this content right now, but honestly, I mean, it would be super fun if we flipped it around and showed Charlie or showed everything, or good Lord, our spoofs and all the nonsense we say ahead of time. But I love behind the scenes content. And sometimes it doesn't have to be goofy. Sometimes it can be, hey, let us show you how we make this, or let me tell you the story about why this developed in this aha moment, or let me tell you what it took. I mean, watching Colin design and how he builds a brand. Oh my gosh, that behind the scenes content is so good because it teaches you as an individual something, and it just piques that human engagement. Like you're basically watching a story.
Yes.
And that's so powerful.
And I think my favorite example of this is probably going to be the first reel that we ever posted for Ameritex. It was just really funny because I wasn't really expecting, I already knew that people watching construction processes and things like that were popular, but this was literally just a flyover of a line of concrete boxes being set up. I'm not completely sure what the project was, so I don't want to be wrong, but I think it was somewhere near a highway. But either way, we got like, and it's still growing. The first week we had like 12,000 views.
Yeah.
And it was like, this is what you want to see from us?
But
so
it
it's
is.
just like,
Yes.
And so it's just like, I mean, I'm not surprised by that human interest content, like that kind of, maybe not human interest, but like just people watching the tinkerings of different companies and things like that, I think is super important, especially just kind of being able to see the back end of the things that are going on so that people kind of realize that there are still humans behind the brand.
Yeah.
And there are still humans behind the company, behind, the social media, all kinds of things like that. Like just seeing what's behind the camera, what's behind whatever door.
Exactly.
It's just interesting because I know I watch a lot of behind the scenes stuff just for fun, just to
for
see.
fun. I do too.
So,
I mean, my gosh, think about how popular documentaries are. And we're basically saying take little nuggets of that type of thinking and do it on your social media. And I am a sucker. This sounds so cheesy. I'm a sucker for pictures of people's desks. This is so fascinating to me. People have the weirdest, coolest stuff on their desk, and it is fun. It's like just getting like a little snapshot of their personal day and, just that little bitty like spying into somebody's life. And I just really appreciate when people let us in, or we get to see their office, or we get to see anything about their real environment and where their work and their output comes from. So I love that.
Yeah.
All right. What do you have next on your list?
Alrighty. So the next, we kind of already talked about it, but the case studies and the testimonials.
Yeah. Well, we talked about infographics, but
I was going to say, the infographic, I mean, that could be turned into an infographic as well. And then just kind of showing the success of your company, kind of showing people like what you've actually provided and showing that people actually like your product.
Yeah.
Or whatever you're promoting is just, I think, probably one of the best ways, to get business in general, and just kind of show people that, like, again, you are a person doing the thing.
Yes,
that
exactly.
they're looking for.
Well, it's just that proof, that social proof and the trust and the validity. Now, I want to give a quick pro tip around case studies. And it's because what I really want you to start thinking about is a transformation story. So before your client worked with you, what scenario were they in? Were they frustrated? What problem did they face? How did it feel for them? What were they losing out on to be in that before? And then you want to showcase their after, right? So often technical companies in B2B will want to spend so much of their case study on how we did the thing. I hate to tell you guys, but they don't really care how you did it. They want to know what was accomplished because you did it, before and afters. That is the core of storytelling, and that's really what it is people want to see themselves in there and go, oh my gosh, we are like that right now. That's the problem I'm struggling with, and wow, that's the after that I want to experience. So I think we see so much technical in B2B social media, and people forget that it's actually, what does your technical do for another human being?
Yep. Hitting those pain points,
Yes.
as mentioned in another podcast.
Yes, it's so critical.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I think just kind of showing people that you have the answer to their question is like super duper important, because if you're not really solving anyone's problem, like when you're showing, or not, I shouldn't say it like that, but like when you're not helping people understand that you are solving a problem, when you are doing and sharing case studies and testimonials, is probably not going to be beneficial, to share on social. So just one of those things that you have to make sure that you're actually like answering the question and giving the evidence, and not really me,
Yeah, I agree.
In that scenario.
Another interesting way to do a testimonial. Now, everybody thinks testimonial is, quotation marks. This company is so amazing. Fine, we love those. I'm not arguing that. However, highlighting your client's successes, right?
Yes.
And just showcasing them and rewarding them. So it doesn't even have to be all the time like how your client is benefited from you. But if you can share your clients and just being, this is one of our amazing clients, we're so proud to partner with them, just that, so people can see the caliber of the type of companies that you work for and that you support, that creates a major halo effect back. And then on top of that, I just think it really shows a brand's heart, to showcase instead of just talking about themselves.
Yeah.
Okay, so I've got another one, and it's about tapping into the things we take for granted, which is industry news, industry information, and zooming out beyond your own four walls. So, what's your point of view on that one?
I definitely think that industry news is probably one of the easiest ways for you to come up with content for your social media.
Yeah.
Any platform really, especially in B2B. And that's because you have your own unique insight on kind of what you think is going on in your industry. And I shouldn't say what you think is going on, but what is going on in your industry. And you're able to position yourself as like somebody who is knowledgeable, somebody who, has actually dealt with these situations and is able to talk about them in a way that people are able to understand. I just think it's super important, because at the end of the day, like, this is your industry. And if you're not showing people that you're knowledgeable about it, I don't think that they're going to trust you.
Yeah.
So it's a really good way to build trust as well. So, yeah.
I think that's a great one. And, I'll give you an example. I'm so busy. We all are so busy. And I have a tendency to keep up with my clients' industries more than I do with our own industry. And so I really benefit and value the people that are constantly being like, hey, did you hear about this in marketing?
Yes.
Did you hear about this in advertising? Did you see this new trend happening? And so I really like that, especially in social media, because it's little bite-sized nuggets that I can process faster and be like, oh, wait, that's important to me. I hadn't heard about that, and then zoom in on it. So that really helps me go, now this person's really got a pulse on things, and that's follow worthy in my point of view.
I think also for me, same kind of situation, like I'm following the other industries. But the one thing that like I always end up needing help with is understanding the algorithms. Like, it takes so long to figure it out. And right when you figure it out, it's changed again. That's what it feels like, at least.
Totally.
And so a lot of my favorite people that I follow on LinkedIn, they're always posting like things you need to know. That are, happening in social. And it just makes it so much easier because, I mean, as much as I am a social media specialist, and as much as I do know, there's a lot that I also still am learning. And I think in general, it's just good to have those people who actually, speak up and share the industry news. Because we're all, I think the one thing, I guess, to keep in mind is that we're all still learning.
That's the key of mastery. There's no end to mastery.
Exactly. So you have to I think it's just beneficial to help people learn those things. And if that's something that you can do, then I say do it for sure. Because again, like I said, it's like one of the easiest ways to kind of create content is to find something that's going on in your industry that's important, post about it, give your opinion on it, make a video about it, create infographics.
Exactly. All right, what do you have next?
All right, so next, I believe we have the interactive polls. And Q&As.
Why don't people do these more often? They're so effective.
Yeah, I think for me, I really love the polls. I think I like to see not the arguing in the comments, but like the discussion in the comments.
Oh my God, comments are half the reason I'm on social media.
Oh yeah, for sure. And it's also just interesting to kind of see, because this is, again, like when you're sharing industry news, you could create a poll. And then you can create a discussion. So it's just, I think that the polls and Q&As are just interesting ways to kind of help people, I guess, form their own opinion about things and give people an opportunity to like read a discussion in the comments, and then they form their own opinion. This also can help with engagement and things like that as well. So like, I mean, again, another kind of low-hanging fruit, because most of the platforms offer some form of poll.
And on top of that, most of the platforms prioritize engagement in expanding your reach. And so doing things that make people want to engage or make it really easy for them to engage, oh my gosh, so great. So great.
Yeah. And then the live Q&As, or just like Q&As in general, they're always fun to read.
They are. I agree.
Or to be a part of if it's live. But so I think when you have Q&As, especially like In like different industries, I guess it's just super important and cool to like pick the mind of whoever is being asked the question. So if it's an engineer, if it's somebody at a manufacturing company, anywhere, even honestly, like med spa doctors, like it's so much fun, to like kind of figure out like, okay, so this is why you're doing this, and this is why you find so much joy in doing this, or like this is how this works. Because I mean, again, back to the behind the scenes.
Yep.
That's kind of what you're getting when you go into Q&As.
What if you're a small business, a startup, or even a nonprofit? We serve you with the same strategies, processes, and frameworks that help you grow no matter your business size or your business stage. In fact, the smaller your business and the smaller your budget, the more important it is to get real advice from a chief marketing officer so you can stop wasting money, start getting more of your ideal customers, and keep more of the customers that you have. If you want to learn more about how to do that affordably, talk with me about our Marketing Blender Lab program.
Another one, and you do this so well, but we really usually have to kind of give many of our clients kicks in the butt.
Oh, yeah.
To get this one is we want to see people,
yes,
and particularly team members and employees and the doers, like the keepers of your brand promise. We want to see people in social media.
Yeah, I don't know what it is about not showing people that B2B companies love.
I don't know either.
We've got to do better. Because I mean, at the end of the day, like there's still people behind the machine.
Yeah.
So everybody wants to see that. That's what we want to see. And also it doesn't even have to be, because I know some people are like, well, what we do is really boring and nobody's going to be interested in this. And it's just like, first of all, it's not that nobody's interested in it. You just haven't found the people who are interested in it.
That's right.
And then the other thing is like, why am I only looking at equipment?
A computer screen, a graph or a chart. Oh my gosh, I know.
There's somebody out there that is like informing those things. And so like, let's see pictures. It doesn't have to be in the office. It could be you guys are on like a team outing. It could be community service. Maybe you're hanging out outside of work hours and, you know, you took a selfie with your teammates, something of the sort. But like at the end of the day, like even if they're not on video talking about like their specialty or something, like just show your people.
I agree. And even if it is them working at the machine or behind their desk, grab a picture. I mean, that's true. I know it's so simple. I don't know if I've ever told you about this, but there's a memory study done a number of years ago where they had a big classroom of college students and they flashed tons and tons of pictures on the screen, bam, 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 rapid fire. And some of them were beautiful, some of them were horrifying and disturbing, some of them were boring. And the number one predictor of what other people would remember, and basically after they flashed all those, they would have people write down as many of the images as they could remember seeing. And the number one predictor was if there was a person in the picture. So even if it was a person holding a pen, they would remember that super boring picture of the human hand and the pen because there was a human in it, the brain.
That's so funny.
I know. Amazing.
That actually, I mean, that makes a lot of sense because when we went to a Meritex's party, their appreciation party, there's a picture, and I don't know his name, but there's a guy who's like pictured in like this little box, and it's a tiny window inside one of their facilities. And when we went in, that's the first thing I saw, and I was like, oh, I know this place.
Yes, exactly.
Because I've seen it.
It's familiar to me.
Yeah, and also just like, I know that people like always want to look a certain, like they want their company to look a certain way, like maybe super pressed and polished, but like we all know that you're human behind that. We know you're not all pressed and polished.
No.
So give us the fun, weird pictures. Like,
I agree.
I mean, I don't know. I think people, when they think about their social media as a business, they're always thinking like, oh, it has to be about my business. It has to be about the exact thing that we're talking about. But it really can, you know, your social media doesn't have to be strictly, you know, I guess like on one level.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be flat. You can add dimension. So you can add those little silly posts from around the office because that's what people want to see.
Exactly.
I mean, those are the posts that you see like on Twitter that end up becoming memes.
Exactly.
So
exactly.
Like, you know, I'm not saying that you're going to get your, you know, the viral moment from whatever you're posting. But what I am saying is that your audience is going to, and kind of like goes with the study, but they're going to remember those pictures of you and your people doing the things that you're doing because it has your people.
I know. And I'm going to rattle off a whole bunch more, just rapid fire, because there's so much awesomeness that happens every single day with human beings. So if your culture is about reading, okay, what is such and such employee reading right now? Or what are they learning? Or what did they just study? Or if you're big on awards and recognition, be putting all of that on social media. If somebody posted something or wrote something or accomplished something or built something, recognize that they just hit a milestone. I mean, look around at the water cooler conversations, like, and the things that people are trending on, like whatever's hot or fun or what are people eating. I mean, but what makes up life? Oh my gosh, just look around and be like, oh, let's put that on social media. Now you give a lot of prompts to our clients to go, hey guys, go take pictures of this. Like you totally transform Panhandle Plastic Surgery's social media. I love
it's
their
so much
social.
fun.
It is so fun. And it's, but the interesting thing is you got them off of only using perfect models and into their real people. And it was a game changer.
Yeah. I guess, in that case, like the thing that I tried to kind of harp on with them is that it's going to be important to show the results.
Yeah.
And actually show them on real people. And I mean, I think that's just the case pretty much everywhere, because this kind of goes back to the testimonial thing. People want to see the actual like results.
Yes.
They want to see that it works.
Yes.
They don't want to see that like some supermodel came in and took pictures with the weights and they were like, oh, now I'm toned up. Because I mean, that just looks like a supermodel walked in here and was like, oh, I'm super ripped.
Agreed.
Let's take pictures.
Agreed.
But yeah, I mean, I think one of the things, and I guess social media managers can benefit from this when they're in the B2B space, is to just kind of brainstorm ideas for your clients yourself. Because sometimes the best way to put it is that the teams aren't always super duper creative.
Yeah.
And that's not really a bad thing, because like sometimes they just don't know where to go with their
Exactly.
creative. So, you just have to guide them.
Exactly.
So
I mean, you've gotten our clients to submit Christmas photos, Halloween and costume parties, any employees that have served in the military for Veterans Day. The pet pictures of the pets.
Oh yeah.
You remember, like, some people dress their pets up as themselves. I loved
that was cool.
That was so fun. But, I mean, just the little prompts around what could we get them to show. And people will take a picture as long as they're like, oh, I can snap a picture of that. That's easy.
Yeah.
That's fast.
And also, that's another thing. We don't talk about this much, but like, well, I guess everybody else does. But pets on social media is like the best thing. Animals on social is like, there is this, I can't remember the name of the brand, but I saw that they posted something on LinkedIn. And their pictures of their pets actually were their highest performing content. And they were like so sad because they were like, it was a joke that they were sad, but they were just kind of like, sad news and really good news.
Yeah.
Like, our regular content did not perform as well as our pet photos. So be prepared to see a bunch of our furry friends in these pictures with our products, like for the rest of time.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's just a way to kind of like get people, I guess, just like focused on the babies, because that's what everybody loves to see, are the animals.
Yeah. And
So
there's
if you
just
have
something real about them.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
if you have your pet pictures around your products, dressed up as you, in glasses, in a hat, in a banana suit, doesn't matter. People love animals. So that's just, that's another great content idea for B2B companies, because it's simple and easy.
Oh my gosh.
So,
Completely agree. Completely agree. So the last one that I have on the list is, and it goes back to something that you said at the very beginning about experimentation and being brave enough to just put yourself out there, your observations. So you've mentioned this a number of times, like, what's your opinion on the industry news, or what did you think about this current event or this thing happening? But I mean, it could be an observation about anything. Our brains are constantly firing, and just getting in that habit of being like, oh, I could share something about what I just read. Or, oh, a client just asked me a common question yesterday. Without calling them out, I could say, I had a conversation yesterday and this question comes up frequently. Let me tell you the answer to that. I mean, there's so many things that you could just harvest from your own experiences, your own point of view. But you nailed it earlier when you said people just need to stop being scared of putting themselves out there, because you're making money. You're doing this. You're already valued in your environment. Like, let people engage with that even more.
yeah. And I think it's just, I mean, when you're sharing your own point of view, I think people tend to get scared because of the kind of scrutiny that comes with it.
Yeah.
Or potential, because sometimes you just don't get any like negative feedback, but sometimes you do. And it's something also that I've had to get over.
Yeah, me too.
Because I genuinely think the social media managers of LinkedIn are a little brutal, but it's okay. I think that they're rightful in their brutality sometimes. But just sharing your point of view and your observations in your industry, or just about your client's industry maybe. Honestly, I guess it kind of goes back to the thought leadership thing, and kind of just like sharing, your insights of what like your little ecosystem has kind of created for you.
Yeah.
So it kind of helps, again, build that trust and kind of position you as somebody who is, again, knowledgeable and also helpful, because, again, you got to hit those pain points.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Now, I do want to throw out one caveat. We want you to share your observations, but you do have to think about your brand. So you'll notice that Samaria and I have been really focused on your observation around your mastery, around your work, around your industry, around what you know. Now, some clients and some companies are capable of sharing observations around social trends or around political trends. It is 100% based on whether your brand is already that and whether your market is aligned with you and shared values, right? So Nike gets away with sharing a lot of political or socially forward content because they are perfectly values aligned with their market and they're not scared to make people angry. Bud Light was completely misaligned with their values alignment with their market when they had a campaign recently. And so it is about, what do you represent, and what makes sense, what honors your customer and your market's trust in you and honors the work and the value that you provide. So just be thoughtful, not scared, but thoughtful around what type of observations, if you do decide to go beyond your work observations, that you should be engaging in. We don't, and I mean, very intentionally, we talk politics and some stuff inside of the office, and we've got to tell the truth early and often environment around here. But that's not the value that we step into in our social media and our public connotation, because it has nothing to do with the relationships that we have with our clients. And so it's as simple as just being thoughtful around the role that you want to play and that makes sense. So any thoughts or examples that, or any additional observations that you're like, yeah, I saw a good one or a bad one the other day?
I think my thing on it is like, not everything is for everybody. And so like, when I say that, I mean like, just because you have a presence on social media does not mean you have to talk about it. Or you don't have to hop on that trend.
Yep.
You have to kind of, like you said, like, is it going to be beneficial for you? Because like, one of the things that I thought was really interesting was the debate about April Fool's posts from different companies.
Yeah.
And kind of some social media managers were saying, sometimes they just come off as offensive.
Yeah.
And so you need to step back and you need to think about it and figure out how you're going to like execute this well.
Yes.
And then the other social media managers were like, stop being a buzzkill, let people have fun and just let them post their April Fool's posts. But I thought that was a really good insight, because one of the things that I had to learn, progressing through my career, is that like, not every thing needs to be posted about. Like, not every little holiday, not every single like trend or big topic needs to be posted about. You don't have to talk about everything. Because I think when people know your company, they kind of already know your stance on certain political topics and things like that. Yeah. So I would just say, think about it, consider the outcomes, and kind of just, like you said, don't be scared, but just kind of be cautious, I guess.
Exactly, and intentional.
Intentional is a good word.
Yep.
And just make sure that it's something that's like heart forward for you and not something that's forced or not something that's like too out of left field.
Agreed.
So.
Agreed. I love it. Okay. Any final encouragements or thoughts on interesting, great social media for B2B?
Everybody always knows what I'm going to say about social media. Just have fun.
Yes.
I think that one of the things that gets lost, especially in B2B, is like the fun side of social. Because I mean, we see these large B2C companies always having these fun campaigns.
Yep.
Their social media managers are really funny online. They can respond to everything and, make jokes, and people will eventually be like, oh, haha, this is my favorite account.
Yeah.
And I know it's a little bit harder for B2B for B2B companies to do that because of the space we're in. We're not necessarily consumer facing all the time. So, because of that, most of the people that you're probably selling to are like your friends, maybe.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying like, obviously not just your friends, like they're obviously clients, but I'm just saying
close
like
network.
Yeah, but you have a network of people. So like, those people will probably be able to tell you like, okay, this did not fall, or this didn't land, that fell flat. Like, so just have fun. And just kind of be yourself.
Agreed.
Especially for like some of the smaller companies, like especially like the solopreneurs, like put your personality in there. Like people love you. People are gonna probably love you over here too. So
Yep.
just have fun. That's my number one thing.
I love it. Absolutely. Well, you guys, if I'm being honest, you got way more than 7. So you got 7 buckets of content. But if you will go back and notice what she did there, she mixes and rematches and uses a single thing across different ways to push it out there on those platforms. There's just so much richness here. So stop overthinking, go have fun, and express your authentic brand voice in the market and be human. We'll see you next time. Hit that subscribe button. Onward and upward.
Bye.